Welcome to the 13th episode of Cartridge Chronicles, the podcast where we dust off the cartridges, blow on them, whether they helped or not, and we dive deep into the games that shaped us. I'm Questmaster Prime, joined as always by Marz Attakz, and today we're going to take on the neon-soaked streets of a crime-ridden metropolis. We aren't talking about exploration, heavy backtracking, or minimalist sci-fi atmosphere today. We're talking about total, unadulterated 8-bit firepower, massive anti-drug propaganda, and an arsenal of rocket launchers used to clean up the streets. Today we're covering NARC for the Nintendo Entertainment System, released in 1990, serving as one of the most famously violent, over-the-top arcade ports to ever slip past Nintendo's strict censorship guidelines. This is a game that took a bleeding-edge, ultra-violent Williams arcade cabinet and successfully crammed its chaotic, multi-directional action into a standard gray NES cartridge. It's a game that features endless waves of trench coat wearing pushers, rapid attack dogs, and a final boss that's quite literally a giant head. It was Acclaim and Rare's daring attempt to bring a hyper-mature arcade sensation into the family living room, and its absurdly high energy still echoes through retro gaming history. Grab your controllers, flash your badge, and make sure your missile inventory is fully stacked. This is NARC for Nintendo Entertainment System. All right, so I'm here with Marz Attakz, and we're going to go over the game NARC for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So the NARC game, it was based off the arcade game that came out in 1988 by Eugene Jarvis, who was the same developer for Defender and Robotron 2084. The original arcade cabinet for NARC was extremely popular. It had amazing graphics. It was just an amazing arcade game. Very violent. I'll give it that. It was very violent. Had a lot of drug paraphernalia, obviously. But then it was ported to the NES in 1990 by Acclaim. So Acclaim got the console rights, and they had to kind of make the graphics lower than the arcade for the NES.
It's a Nintendo. So
it's a Nintendo, yeah.
From 16-bit to 8-bit, it's a little drop.
Exactly. Well, this is from the arcade, so what? Like maybe higher than 16-bit.
Yeah, it might have been 32. So
32, yeah. So this was Acclaim, and Acclaim is associated with LJN, everybody's favorite developer who makes really horrible movie-based games or games based off movies. But Acclaim is known for a lot of amazing games. Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam, the developers Williams were the ones that kind of made all these amazing games. I actually watched a documentary on them as well. It's pretty good. I have to find the actual title for the documentary, but it was really good about how they made these games. But go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like a lot of the popular ports from the arcade to the home systems. That's what they were straight. There was like the straight line from, like you said, NBA Jam to Mortal Kombat to. There's a lot of Acclaim games that are just popular. So.
Yeah. There was tons of games that Acclaim made. Rare was the actual developer, so Acclaim was more of the producer, and Rare. We know who Rare is, right? Rare did the Donkey Kong Country series. And,
what's the fighting game?
Oh yes, Killer Instinct. Did you do Killer Instinct? Yeah,
Killer Instinct.
Yeah. So they did a lot of amazing game. Yeah. So this one was I would say it was a big challenge for them because they had to translate this game into 8-bit sprites, as you already mentioned, and also they had to change some things because this is a very controversial game. We'll talk about it, but this is a very controversial game. This was up there with Mortal Kombat because of the drug paraphernalia and shooting junkies.
Okay. I think we need to, let's take these people back in time.
Yes.
So it's the late 80s. Reagan in office, his wife, Nancy, started this basic program called DARE. She was one of the catalysts for this program called DARE, right? And so there was a big anti-drug campaign going on in the US at this time. And you were seeing its effects everywhere. So in the arcade, specifically in the arcade, games would have a flash page during the game, like I guess it would be the demo, and it would be like winners don't use drugs, and it would be signed by the FBI, whoever the director of the FBI was at that time, right?
Yes, I remember that.
So the anti-drug, and it was pushed in schools. I was a kid in the DARE program. They had like TV shows, so there's always like, so if anyone ever remembers after school specials, this was a thing, teaching kids, basically how to say no. Videos in your classroom about kids on drugs, like they were really pushing this anti-drug position. Also, you start to see the militarization of the police at this time.
Yes, yeah.
Which goes into this game, NARC. Okay.
Yes.
And so it's an interesting time because you have the push for the anti-drug culture in America, the militarization of the police, the propagandizing of movie culture also. So to, I guess, help with the militarization of the police. So you saw in a lot of movies how gang violence, quote unquote, was so proliferated in a lot of these movies. Police seemed to be ineffective, right?
Yep.
And so the idea was, well, we're cops, we're on the streets, we need to have better guns, we need to have looser laws, we need to have basically extreme techniques to take down these gangs that are infiltrating these areas with drugs, crime, violence, you name it, So this is what you're starting to see at this time. And it only gets even more in depth from the late 80s into the entire 90s, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
It's not even, there's no let up. There's this constant push of police need better equipment. They need less, I guess, more availability to do or act in certain ways. And criminals are basically outgunning police. And so
yes.
Police want to take extreme measures. And in the midst of all this, you have this game called NARC. There's actually a ton of other games too. And like I said, it was TV shows, movies, and it's just, again, it just happened to hit video games as well. So whenever you're in an arcade, whatever game it is, you're going to see winners don't use drugs. You're going to see, some theme about the anti-drug push in America, which is crazy because we can talk about, we're not going to talk about the Iran-Contra affair and even how drugs might have financed certain things in America, or the pipeline from high school to prisons and in the midst of all this drug push, or the prison industrial complex in the midst of all this as well. This is a video game show. So
yeah, but not gonna go too deep in that. Yeah. Exactly.
But these are things that are going on around this game. And I will say, and since you've already kind of hit on it, the idea that parents were startled by this game, especially when it came home, right?
Oh, yes.
Because there are things in the game that are not for children, you know. So if you want to give them the premise of the game, go ahead. You know, we can go from there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the game. I mean, the game is simple. The premise is simple, right? You're a police officer. Actually, it's two police officers. It takes place in like a dystopian society. So where the drug lords have, or actually the drug cartels have taken over pretty much everywhere, and the police officers have been rendered useless. So they have a special task force that is responsible of taking down these drug cartels. And the drug cartel we're going after, and I always laugh at this name. The cartel is called Crack, but they changed the name in the Nintendo version to Quack, KWAK, as opposed to KRAK from the arcade. That was because Nintendo censorship.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things. But yeah, you're going against the cartel named Crack, and you're fighting different like bosses in this cartel. What I find funny is you fight like clones of the bosses, right? You don't like fight. I mean, you fight there's the boss, but then he has like it's a clone of him.
Yeah.
That you're fighting, or that you're shooting. You're shooting up these junkies that look like the boss. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. It's
a very easy premise. Like
it's an easy premise. Fight, kill junkies.
Yeah, there's not a lot to the game. You know, you're a cop on the street, and you're shooting drug dealers.
Yes,
and people who are on drugs. So
and don't forget, you have your Porsche.
Yeah. Again, you know, there's no propaganda at all in this game.
No,
like anywhere, there's no propaganda. But and that was I guess that to me is why it's also funny that parent groups had such an issue when it was basically the world they wanted, right?
Yeah.
So you're in this game, you're the two cops, a red and a blue one, and you're just shooting down drug dealers. They're dropping money, they're dropping ammo, they're dropping drugs, or you can arrest them. Right. Now, I'm going to be honest, most of the game I spent not trying to arrest anybody.
Yeah.
Right?
that kind of takes away the fun of the game.
Yeah. But the interesting part was they gave you there's bonus points at the end for the paraphernalia, the drug paraphernalia you collect, the money you collect, and if you bust people, you got actually more money if you busted people.
Yes.
This is again the interesting take on, you know, how we want police to deal with these certain things. And so they were also different for the bosses, different kinds of drugs. So it was like your everyday low maintenance dealer. Then there was like Hypo Man who did all hypodermic needle stuff.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was a junkie called Garbage Man.
Yeah.
And he was on drugs. And so, you know, it took a lot more bullets to put him down. And you're encountering all these different kinds of junkies and drug dealers to get to crack.
And you also fight. Well, I was going to say you also fight Mr. Big at the end with his big old head.
Yep,
his disembodied head.
Which, to me, it's almost like this game is a drug-induced fever dream.
Yeah, that's a good way
like,
of putting it. Yeah,
it's almost like it's a hyperbole on anti-drug culture.
Yes.
and you're shooting dogs at one point. Like, they're big, and then when you shoot them, they go small. You don't kill dogs. You can kill a lot of people though, but you don't kill dogs, which I found interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. They turn into puppies.
Yeah, you kill people, but you can't kill dogs.
Yeah.
And you also, one of the things I think that parents, the aspects of the game was, you get a rocket launcher and you basically can blow up people and limbs fall on the screen, right?
Yes.
So heads, legs, arms, you just blow up people and the limbs fall on the screen. So that's why I said this almost feels like a drug-induced, like, fever dream for somebody's hyperbolic take on anti-drug culture in America.
Yeah, it's very simplified. Like this is how we beat drugs in America. We just kill everybody that's on drugs or it has anything to do with drugs, right? Even like you don't go after junkies, right? Junkies are victims as well. But
in the game,
they're not. Yeah, they're shooting at you in the game. So
yeah, and so it's like, this is how we take it. We take it to the streets, and we just mow everybody down.
Yes,
and it's weird how history goes in cycles, right? The big push for this in the 80s, 90s, right? To 2000s, you start to see more people come out, more, I guess, leaders and psychiatrists come about and talk about drug addiction in a different way than they were in the 80s and the 90s. Talking about drug addiction as a sickness, an illness that needs to be treated.
Yes.
And these people need to be basically treated as in a medical form rather than in the state policing form. Yeah. And you start to, and especially with the opiate crisis in the early 2010s, whatever that.
I think
2015.
Yeah, I think that's around when Trump was president, I believe. Yeah. Or when they started.
It was like right before.
Yeah, right before. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see them talk about drug addiction in a different way, which takes funding away from policing, which takes, and this is like I said, an interesting thing where it talks about when you look at the history of policing and drugs in the United States. I will say this, right? Growing up during this time, they made it seem like every corner there was going to be a drug dealer asking me to use drugs or begging me basically to use drugs. And I will say no one has ever asked me to do drugs. And it's not like I haven't been around people that have done drugs, but no one's ever tried. They made it seem, I will say to me, they made it seem like a bigger issue than it was. And I think that's the propagandizing of this movement. Like they pushed it really big. And of course it was more city based and the cops needing, to be able to take on these gangs. But I grew up in a lot of different places and everybody knew the areas where the drugs were. And really all you had to do was avoid that. And even if you had to go there, you could say no. It was easy. It wasn't like this major temptation.
There wasn't really. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I don't remember anybody, saying I was lame or something because I wasn't doing drugs or trying to get me to do drugs or, I don't remember what they were saying in the commercials. Right? They were like. It was always like, it's like, well, a guy, it's it's usually a guy in like a trench coat, right? He has a trench coat, he has a hat, and he's in the alley, right? And he's like, "Hey, kid, I have some drugs on you." And then he opens up his coat, and he has a whole bunch of drugs, and the kid's usually running away from the guy, right? Or Just say no, right?
Yeah, and they would have like scary commercials too. I remember this
Yeah.
one where the guy was like turning into a snake slowly. And it was like, the first thing I'm going to do is let you hit it free, blah, blah, blah. And this is like him looking as a regular person. And then he would turn the corner like he's talking to you. Next thing you know, I'm going to have you stealing from your mom and your dad, trying to get your next hit. You know, and the third thing, I'm going to have you. And at this point, you could see the more reptile look on the guy's face.
Yeah.
And by the end, he's like, you know, then I'm just going to control you. And you're just like, holy crap. Like, and he looks like a whole like snake, you know, but this is like live action. And this is a commercial, like regular, like in between cartoons, like Saturday morning cartoon.
Because it was in the cartoons too.
Yeah.
Like it was in there. Yeah.
It was everywhere. Oh, one of the, and yes, just how pervasive this thing was, you know, there were two cartoons that scarred me for life with their anti-drug messaging. Okay.
Yeah.
The first one was, do you remember the TV show Cops, Fighting Crime in Future Time?
Oh, yeah. I remember that show. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So it took place in the future, and you know, they were cops, right?
Yeah.
And this is their anti-drug episode. One of the bad guy's son, there's this dealer dealing this drug that it's almost like it looks like it basically sits on your skin and like, you know, gets you high, right? It looks like a little computer disc or something like that, right?
I think I remembered it. Yeah, I do remember this.
The kingpin's son falls into a crate of these and basically gets high, like he's fighting the cops. He falls into this crate, and all these things like attached themselves to his body, and basically he ODs, right?
Yeah,
and he doesn't die, but it like puts the kingpin and the cops on the same side, trying to stop these drug dealers, right?
Yeah.
And I remember watching the episode as a kid and just being terrified that, you know, they almost made it seem like at any moment you would fall into drugs. Like you would know, you know, any moment, anything that you take. Now, this is not to downplay the fact that there are people who will put drugs into your drink, into whatever, you know, there are those people, right? And you have to be on the lookout for that. But it's also who you surround yourself with, right?
Yep.
The other TV episode was Lone Star. It was like a cowboy show, but it took place in like another planet. And this one character, he looked like a weasel. It was anamorphic. They had all different kinds of creatures, right? Because they're in space. And he was selling this stuff called Spiral. And it was just like this one normal kid and the two friends. One kid ends up taking it, and basically, you know, you see his downward spiral on this drug, and he ends up dying in the episode.
Oh, gee, is it Brave Star or Lone Star?
Yeah, Brave Star.
Is it Brave Star? Oh, okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Brave Star, not Lone Star. Brave Star.
I think you're right. I think you said the character's name is Lone Star, though. I think the character's name is Lone Star.
Yeah.
I remember vaguely, but yeah. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Brave Star. And the kid ends up dying in like the end of the episode from this drug, you know? And so I'm a kid watching this and I'm just devastated. Like, yo, like, he didn't have a chance. So, I mean, I will say, I guess I'll put it like this. Their anti-drug rhetoric actually did work for me. Like, I was so afraid of taking drugs because everything they're showing me was the worst possible outcome. And to bring it modern day, one of the movies that I really enjoy, I really feel though it's an anti-drug movie and every kid should watch it, at least in high school, is called Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, I never heard of that one. I don't think I heard of that one.
Darren Aronofsky is the director. And it is I remember every minute of that movie. Like, that's how and like I always get on my friend Lonnie because he was like, "You need to watch this movie." And I watched it at like 1:00 in the morning one night, and I couldn't fall asleep. That's how much, of an impression this movie made.
Was it like a horror movie or something?
No, it's really? Not a horror movie. It's just three people who are junkies, and it's their life. It starts summer, winter, and then it's fall. It's summer, fall, and then winter. And it just goes through those seasons of their life and just how far they fall off. And Marlon Wayans is in it. It's one of his best acting roles, as I feel. Jared Leto and Jennifer Connelly. Keith David's in it. Oh gosh, Juice by Tappy. Who's that guy? He played in Happy Gilmore. I forgot that actor's name, but it's one of the best anti-drug movies I've ever seen, and I feel like every high schooler should watch it. But it's so heavy. It's so depressing.
Ooh.
But it's based. It's real life.
Yeah, I was looking it up. I looked it up. It looks pretty. Pretty dark.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. Yeah. And then there's Jared Leto's mom's in the movie. Something happens to her, and you're just like, this shouldn't even happen. But these are the things that can happen to people. And it's also the dynamic of legal drugs versus illegal drugs, right?
Yeah.
There's the same thing could happen. There still could be a downward spiral from that.
So it's kind of like realistic, almost like
it's
more
so realistic.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And I could not fall asleep after watching that movie. And it's weird that we're not on the topic of NARC anymore, but it's more giving you the idea of what's going on around this time, why this game was groundbreaking in a sense, and also the implications of it's still another tool they were using to push this anti-drug rhetoric to children.
And I'll tell you, like you mentioned that movie. Speaking of like anti-drug movies, like the one that really scared me was the Basketball Diaries. Remember that movie?
Yeah,
with, Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, that to me made me think he's such a great actor. Like I thought it was a very underrated movie. Nobody really talks about too much. You got Marky Mark in there as well, and it just shows like these kids, they get too prideful and they do all these drugs and they think it's in heroin, I think. But yeah, that probably was one that scared me. And I do agree. Like there were some commercials out there that were a little creepy. I think the one that really creeped me out was the heroin. So they showed this girl and she was like healthy, and then they kept showing her like as she was doing heroin. Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that.
That scared the bejesus out of me. That was a scary one.
I guess the conversation also is like there is a demographic of people who it worked on, and I think I was part of that demographic where it was like, yeah, no, this could be the most terrible thing that's ever happened, and I don't want to do it. Yes. But there's another demographic of it didn't affect them, but I also think that the heavy hand of this and throughout, and I'm talking about the cultural effects because, like I said, we're talking about it: movies, video games, TVs, commercials, cartoons, kids cartoons. Like
this is also like the crack. You had the crack epidemic at the time, and you also had. Cocaine was huge in the 80s, right? Yeah. That was a major problem. That movie Blow was about the big cocaine thing in the 80s. So drugs was running rampant. So this is why they had that anti-drug campaign.
And then you see the two different types of policing.
Yeah.
Cocaine, you're getting 2 years. If that, crack, you're getting 5 years automatically.
Yeah.
So there's also like, who's using crack? Well, minorities. They're getting tougher sentencing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
whereas more white people, more upper class people are using cocaine.
Right.
So they're getting less sentencing. Wolf of Wall Street again gives us the idea of how rampant drugs are being used, and these are people who were making money for other people. It didn't matter. What mattered was when they started taking money from other people. The drugs though didn't matter. And so it was a weird time. And seeing it in movie and like going back and watching the movies from the 80s, like especially cop movies like Cobra and even up to Predator 2, you see again this proliferation of gangs and gang violence. What is it? Even what is it? Dangerous Minds. Oh
gosh, yeah.
One of my other favorite ones. What is it?
Dangerous Minds was a good one.
A Substitute, right? So these people are going into these gang riddled areas and trying to save the few kids that they can. Only the Strong, a Mark Dacascos movie, right?
Yeah.
Again, you go into the worst schools that ever existed. Gangs even control the schools. What are we going to do to save these kids? Mind you, they're not pumping any money federally into the schools to do anything. No. They're not really doing anything to help these children out. The answer is always heavy policing.
Yeah, and that's the problem, and that's the kind of the biggest issue is a lot of heavy policing, and around this time, like you said, it was like this game NARC, it's like a fever dream. It's like, look, we're going to just take all drugs out, right? Yeah. We don't care if innocent people get killed. We just want to take it all out, get it off our streets. And then it kind of changed. It got more mature, I would say, because back then it was more immature. It was like, we just need to get rid of all these drugs. And NARC kind of shows that. Like, NARC is like, look, we're going to just shoot up everybody and maybe arrest a few people, maybe.
Yeah.
But we're going to shoot them all up, get rid of them all, hang them at the stake, whatever, right? And then later on, it was like, okay, maybe that's not the right approach. They're still doing militarization of police officers, but it's not as, like you said, they're trying to help people who are junkies, people who have drug problems. They realize it's actually a problem. But back then, it was like, if you're on drugs, you're bad. All of you are bad, and you all need to be eradicated.
And how could you let this happen? You should have better. Mind you,
should have been better choices. Yeah,
drug culture was across the board. It wasn't. They would make you think it was just in minority communities.
Oh yeah,
but it wasn't. It was across the board, and that's why I said you watch the Wolf of Wall Street, you watch the original Wall Street movie, you watch Crocodile Dundee. Everybody's on crack. Everybody's on coke, right?
Yes.
Everybody's doing hair.
Back then, especially.
You watch 3 Minute Baby. Like, what's the what's the turn of the movie? Oh, there's heroin in the baby's diaper. So drug culture was across the board, right?
Yes.
But the answer of heavy policing is what this game and even what the government was pushing across.
Yes.
This is what's going to solve the problem. And it didn't. It failed. The war on drugs failed. And anyone who tells you that it didn't didn't pay attention. They didn't pay attention.
And it's interesting, like this game, especially with this game, like, and I think you mentioned like the parents, like in this game, like, I remember my mom did not want me to play this game. Like she would, because it was in the limelight. It was supposed to be anti-drugs, but the message was kind of like, how can I word it? The message was like, it wasn't like it didn't seem like anti-drug. It was just killing a whole bunch of people. You're a cop and you're killing a whole bunch of people.
It was pro-violence.
It was pro-violence, right? Violence to beat violence.
Yeah.
And I think parents saw the violence, especially my mom, like she watched the news. The news talked about this game as something to avoid. Ironically, my dad let me play the game at his house. That's why I first played the game, the NARC game. But yeah, it was just like you just mentioned, like anti-drugs was everywhere. So and they had them in the arcades because, you know, there's drug dealers hanging out in the arcades, right? So you got to make sure you say no to the drug dealers. Yeah, they're everywhere, right?
The drug dealers were everywhere. Yeah. You were gonna be on some type of drug before you turned 16. Or you were gonna join a gang. Like that was your option. You're gonna be a junkie or you're gonna join a gang.
Yeah.
Even to pull in like the Ninja Turtles movie, right? Yes. So the Foot Clan, the idea of this youth gang, the Foot Clan.
Yes.
Oh, people are being pulled off the street. These kids are being pulled off the street, taught how to rob, taught how to kill, taught how to steal. The children are your worst enemy. And what's the answer? Heavy policing and violence against them.
Yes.
Not after school programs, not education, not better economics. It's always more violence against them. We have to put it down. We have to beat it out of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of the movies around this time were pretty much the same as this game. Like they were all, I think you mentioned a few of them. Like it's just all about, we're going to take these guys, we're going to take them, we're going to shoot them down, we're going to do whatever it takes. We're going to take them all out. They're all terrorists in our opinion. And we're just going to take them all out and that's it. That's what we're going to do. And we're the good guys. They're the bad guys. They deserve to die and we deserve to live. Yeah. That's the message you're getting at this time.
And either the ineptitude, of course, of the justice system, right?
Yes.
And this even on TV is like, oh, you're letting this guy off on a technicality, like New Jack City, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Nino Brown, the biggest drug dealer in the city, killed a lot of people, killed a lot of cops. Oh, he's getting off. So even the justice system is failing in the eyes of the anti-drug, mindset.
Yes.
So we have to do stuff to the justices to make justice even more stricter. And this is just historical. The 3-strike law comes about.
Yes. Yep. That's another one. Yep.
Again, decimates minorities.
Yes.
Because we're getting picked up off of your 3rd strike could be something stupid.
Yeah, it could.
And you're going to jail for a minimum of 15 years after that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so who's the communities it most affect? Who's the communities they were more policing? They weren't policing, rich neighborhoods where drugs are running rampant. On top of that, they're policing poor neighborhoods. And this is just they were dealing with now they would argue they were dealing with a symptom rather than the problem whole. But look at all the lives it affect, right? So here's the other thing, right? Marijuana was such a big, they called back then marijuana a gateway drug, right?
Yes. Yep.
If you took marijuana, you were going to basically be injecting tar heroin by the end of the week, right?
Yeah.
That was the mindset they were giving to you.
Yeah. Any drug would get you to any other drug. You go from weed to cocaine.
They're arresting people, for the smallest amount, non-violent drug offenders, just throwing them in jail. People are losing their jobs. Felony charges against these people for having ounces at sometimes of marijuana. These people aren't moving weight. These people you're having their own stash or whatever, right?
Yep.
Now marijuana is legal in some states.
which is so crazy to me.
The federal government, there are people in the federal government who invest in marijuana farms.
Yeah, that to me is pretty crazy. Now
people are still locked up off of the charges.
Yeah, there's still people that have long charges for marijuana. Yep, and they're not going to release them.
They're not going to release them.
Nope, because it was illegal back then, but now it's legal now.
And so it's just like how crazy is this?
Yeah.
So I have a lot of we've gotten totally off of the game, but I feel like the game just leads down this path. You have to have this conversation of why it even exists. This is why the game exists. People understand that fear is a giant motivator, and using fear, they can also get your money.
Yeah.
And I feel like the government, the federal government and the state governments understood that if we could generate enough fear, rather than dealing with the problem holistically, you know, I need my police force to have tanks for whatever reason. Like this march to a dystopian police state, you know, we're in danger. We're out there, you know, dealing with these crack dealers and these. I was watching this movie last night called. Let me look at it. I think it's called Full Eclipse, right? Another movie.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that movie. Yep.
And the thing is like it's a werewolf movie. It doesn't look like it, but it's a werewolf movie.
Yeah, it is.
But again, these guys are cops, and they're talking about how terrible it is in LA with policing and how they're all getting shot down. And so we need to do something different. And this guy makes this squad of these super elite cops, right?
Yep.
But it's this propaganda of we are outgunned, we're outnumbered. I'm like, most of these gangsters are just doing drive-bys on random streets at any time during the day. And you're just like, statistically, that's not what's going on. With drive-bys, they're shooting at other gang members. You know the areas where they're going.
Yep.
And also with police, you don't go in until after the gang violence is committed, right?
Yep.
So you're not actually preventing crime.
They're not
going afterwards, right?
Well, it's funny, like with NARC, like it's funny that they're in the Porsche, because the Porsche to me is like symbolism for like we're rich. Like we have money, we're rich, we're good. Rich people are the good guys. And we have this nice Porsche, and you guys are all dirty and dingy and doing your drugs. But we got this nice Porsche, and we're going to clean up this. We're going to clean up the ghetto. We're going to clean up the cities, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like these, like, politicians that are like, I know we're getting way off topic, but like we have politicians that, they'll say, we're going to clean up the city. What does that mean?
Yeah.
We're going to clean up the city, right? So like the Porsche, to me, I don't know if they did this on purpose, but the Porsche to me is like, we're rich and we got money, and, you know, and we're good. You know, people with money and they're rich. We don't do bad things, but the poor people, they do. Those poor people down there, they do the horrible things.
I think that is an excellent take and an excellent observation, because it is something that we have to start asking the question is why is it that the rich and even with policing, right, the rich, their areas get policed, you know, in a different way.
Yes.
If I'm driving through a rich area, I am being looked at like I don't belong there. Right.
Yeah.
But these people, and this is good going back to the game, you know, you're driving into these lower class neighborhoods and you're just mowing everyone down, right? You're not asking any questions. You're just mowing everyone down. Hopefully some drugs drop off of them, But
Yeah, hopefully.
but hey, who knows?
Well, there's a level where you're doing that. You're doing exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
You're driving down this well, it's like a highway, and you're just running into dogs and people, and
Yeah.
it's like, geez. So yeah.
I play this. So I originally played this game at my cousin's house. We would play it together, and I think I was more enamored with the blowing people apart thing. And I was like, I don't think I put together the police aspect of the game because it seems so far out of actual policing.
They're not really dressed like cops. They're dressed like dystopian cops.
Yeah, they have
almost
the
Judge Dredd almost
on head, and then like their automatic weapon.
Yeah,
and it's just like, yeah, it's Judge Dredd.
That's what it reminds me of. Yeah, their helmets.
So, but I don't think at the time that I put together that these were police and this was a policing action they were taking. I was just like, oh, we're on the street and we're shooting people and they're dropping drugs because, who doesn't have drugs at this time? Because I was told that, drugs are everywhere and drug dealers want to push on me. Remember, there's another game, Wrath of the Black Manta. That's another game.
Yeah.
You're a ninja and you're fighting drug dealers.
Yeah, I remember. We got to do that one too. That's a good, that's another good one. Yeah.
You're like, wait, what? Yeah, you're in the neighborhood and drug dealers are kidnapping kids and getting them hooked on drugs. But it was a weird time in America where the war on drugs was on every front. It was on TV, it was on radio, it was on news, it was in the games you played, it was in the movies you watched. It was a weird time.
Yeah, and it was and speaking of that, like I remember there was a special, and I might be wrong, but there was a special where there were all the cartoon characters that you watched in that time, and they had a special where it was all about don't do drugs. I think that was one of the weirdest things. Yeah, I think
it was mandated by the FCC that every show had to have a anti-drug episode. Right?
I believe it. It was everywhere. It was in every show I watched, like G.I. Joe and Transformers. Yeah. Transformers even had it.
You're like, what? So I think every show by FCC standards had to have one episode dealing with and that's why part of me wants to be like, where did all that, they were getting so much money to do this.
Yeah.
Where did all that money go? Right.
Yeah.
Because it didn't go to make schools safer. It didn't go to make it, you know what I mean? It didn't trickle down in a sense, right? You have these programs, you tell kids don't use drugs, but you're not making it you're not making it better for them. You're not making it easier for them. And like I said, you're not doing after school things for these kids. You're not having these different programs to give kids opportunities outside of joining a gang, even though you're so worried about them being in. And this is why I always say when people say like, oh, specifically politicians, we care about the kids. I'm like, no, you don't. Because you just follow the money, know?
Yeah.
And you see that they don't really care about kids. Nobody does, in my mind.
They don't care about anybody, actually. But that's a different topic. But politicians are a joke to me. But
this is why this game is just, like I said, it felt like a fever dream of somebody. This is my ultimate, anti-drug fantasy.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Walking down the street, shooting all these people, and busting some people. But I'm collecting their money, I'm collecting their drugs, and nothing's going to happen to me. All of this is legal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all above board. I will not have to answer any judge. Like, notice that we never went to court in this game, right?
No, we arrest people. You arrest people.
You arrested people. You didn't have to go to court.
No, you'd have to go to court.
Court
No.
section of the game. You did. There's no testifying. Like, yes, your honor, I was walking down the street murdering up this guy's, and we actually busted him, and he had the drugs on him. That, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I think it was just the time now. Like the time was like everything was just chaos, right?
yeah.
The drugs have taken over. I think they took out the government. I think they took out like everything, like this crime syndicate. They took out all like civilized institutions, and they corrupted the government, like almost like there's nothing. There's no justice system because it's all messed up.
Yeah. Well, I think, just now, like, corruption, the way that it normally plays out, isn't through some crime syndicate. It's normally through the people who are aware of how the system works. With these cartels, we gotta fight these cartels. But here's the rub is, there are multiple streams of income to this country. The prison industrial complex is one of those.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And shutting down, it's like we found the cure for cancer, but do we really want to give people the cure for cancer when we can make money off of the treatment?
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's the same. It's the same in the drug, in the war on drugs, right?
Yeah.
We're not making money if we actually treat the problem, or if we actually take care of the problem. We are only dealing with the symptoms, and that's why to me the war on drugs failed, because again it just only dealt with the symptoms.
Well, I think too it's so ingrained in society. Like there's people higher up there that are buying, doing drugs. Maybe some of them might even be selling drugs. We don't know.
Yeah,
like they could be. We have people high up. Like we have politicians that have done drugs. Yeah. Right. So it's so like ingrained.
I mean,
in society, it's kind of
here's
hard
another
to stop.
Here's another historical thing for the people, right? Bill Clinton was president at the time, or in the 90s, running for president. Comes out that he may have smoked marijuana, right? Remember back then, marijuana was the gateway drug.
Yeah, it was.
And his answer to that was like, I never inhaled.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which, why people would even believe that is beyond me. But it's so, again, this anti-drug culture was so pervasive that he had to explain it away.
Yeah.
And we all know that he smoked that joint.
Yeah.
Just like we know that he had relations with that woman.
Yeah.
He said he didn't.
Yeah.
But
even Obama did some marijuana when he was in college. I mean, that's
what I'm saying is like it's this weird, I don't know what to call it, where, like I said, there are politicians who've invested in marijuana farms now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you were never really anti-drug. And I feel that too is like, a lot of people do or say things that they don't really believe in.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just the right quote unquote thing to say. And with the drug, I think again with the anti-drug push, it was just the right thing to say at the time. I still will stand by my statement in the beginning. I don't know why parents are against this game, because it's exactly what they wanted.
I think it was more. Well, I think it was like the violence. I think that's really what parents focus on.
That's where I'm saying that there's this disconnect, right?
Yeah.
Where you're saying you wanted something, you want someone to deal with it, but you don't want to get your hands dirty. And I think that's the problem when it comes to like these family groups, is they don't care how it's done. They just want it done. And there's still blood on your hands if there's violence that needs to be done to do it.
Right.
You want junkies off the street. You want, I don't know, drugs to stop flowing into these different areas. But if your answer is heavy policing and not really justice, what are you doing? What do you like? How do you think that it's getting done? So how can you not be for violence?
Yeah.
When you're watching these movies, when you're watching, like I said, Cobra or Predator 2 or something where, there's this violence in these gangs and you're like, the police need more equipment. They need better equipment. What do you think they're going to use that equipment for?
Yeah.
The cops don't need automatic weapons to not use them. The cops don't need, some kind of, I don't know, a tank, to not use it. So why are you saying these? You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. So either you want justice and people dealt with in a just manner, fairly, or you're driving in a Porsche down the street. You hop out of a Porsche and you're just mowing down people at random because they think they're drug dealers.
Well, and I think too, so this is around the time where there were like these studies saying that if you play violent video games, then you're more likely to be violent, right?
Yeah.
So like this was one of them. This is one of the games that, politicians were talking about, violent video games causing kids to do violent things. Now, I don't agree with that study personally, because
I think it was debunked actually.
Yeah, I think it has been debunked. I've played plenty of violent games and I don't want to hurt anybody. So.
Yeah. But I think this even goes back to the drug culture, right? What is it?
Yeah.
The one famous commercial of the dad finding the drugs in the kids under the bed. And he's like, where did you find this? Who taught you how to do this? You! I learned it by watching you! And that's like a famous commercial.
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's like, who's really teaching the kid violence, right? It's the parent. It's the parent. But these parents don't want, and this is again where I don't know if it's the not wanting to be accountable, not wanting to actually look what it is in the eye. You're not gonna escape the fact that there's something inherently wrong, and there's something I won't say inherently, there's something wrong, right, with the system.
Yeah.
And when the answer was policing, when the answer was tougher sentencing, when the answer was putting people away forever, it didn't stop.
Yes.
In fact, it spread to your own communities. And your answer there wasn't tougher sentencing or more policing. It was, these people are sick and we need to do something about it.
Yes. And that's when it changed to that, right? It kind of converted to that because, and that was the problem with the crack epidemic. The crack epidemic, everybody focused on that. They did not focus on the rich with their cocaine parties and the celebrities with their cocaine parties. Like, they focused on crack, which was in poor communities.
Yeah. And they focused on, here's the other thing, right? The drum up of the violent drug addict. Very rare. Yeah. Most people in jail for drugs are non-violent.
Yeah.
That's the statistic.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, and even we could even go into people who are self-medicating using drugs. It's again a problem. They have an issue outlining why they are using drugs, but we're not willing to answer that or deal with that or try to figure it out. You're a criminal. You need to go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what this game is telling you. Like, these are junkies. They need to. I mean, they really need to go to. They need to die. Yeah, in this game, they need to die, or maybe they can go to jail if you want. But you're a judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
So it kind of like, yeah, it's just crazy to me. But that type of thinking it's scary to have that type of thinking, because like there were like, and this is like going, well, I guess this is kind of similar. Like if you have like a serial killer, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're taking out people that are on the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody reports on these people. So going after the poor, you're going after the poor. It's kind of the same thing. Like and it's kind of how NARC treats these junkies. They're just coming at you like zombies, and poor people are like zombies. They need to be destroyed, or poverty is something we need to destroy. Nevertheless, these are people, human beings, right? We need to get rid of it.
Yeah, there's no value on the life. Right.
Yeah, no value on life.
Exactly. Because you're on drugs, you forfeit your value. At least that's in the game context.
The game, right? Yeah, in the game.
In the game context,
that message.
Because you're on drugs, your values, your life is forfeit.
Yes.
And a lot of people won't admit it, but they have that thinking in society today.
Yes.
And like you said, with poor people, with people with mental illness, with people who are on drugs, to them it's a moral failing. It isn't it isn't a physical or medical issue. It's a moral failing, and therefore you forfeit your life.
Yes.
And that to me is scary, especially in a country, in a culture that claims to be Christian, that you would equate that somebody's, even in their moral failing, deserves to die. Because again, from the Christian standpoint, your life is, you are an image of God no matter what. And if you and you're not even giving these people the opportunity to turn to Christ, in the sense,
yeah,
because you think they should be taken care of, or even if they're, I won't go that way. But in the sense that, again, you should understand that the moral failing is the first position of any human being, and what is the solution? And the solution if you say you're a Christian, and yet your default solution is to just kill them.
Yeah, and that's what it's saying. It's saying take them out
to what you believe.
Yeah, so exactly.
I find that very interesting and sad. But this game, playing it now and like from this point of view, definitely is just like, wow, like we were really just wilding back. Like we didn't care about anybody, And
it was a different time too. It was a very different time.
Didn't care about anybody. And if you were, again, a drug addict, if you were someone who was poor, like your life, you were just terrible, and death was the only thing that would save you. And I find it very interesting that with the opiate, like you talked about the crack cocaine epidemic, with the opiate epidemic, the tune changed. The wanting to try to help. Suddenly they found, the society found the ability to want to help these people rather than over police them, over prosecute them.
Yeah, and I think it was like a maturity thing. I think we were very immature with the anti-drug stuff back then.
I'll be honest with you, no, it wasn't a maturity thing.
You don't think it was a maturity thing?
I don't think it was a maturity thing at all.
What do you think it was?
I think these people don't look like the people they were originally policing. These people were people living in their homes. Those their sons and daughters and their neighbors.
You're talking about came home and came like more intimate. I gotcha. Okay.
And so it was like it wasn't far away anymore.
Right.
And I don't want my kid locked away for 15 years.
Right.
I think that I don't know. It was definitely not a maturity thing.
Yeah, it's like it was something that, to me, the messaging has changed. So the messaging definitely has changed from, we need to eradicate all these everybody that's attached to drugs, to these people need help. Right. I mean,
but I still think
it's
still think, I would argue it's still for a select group of society.
Yeah.
It's not across the board.
Yeah,
why is that? I don't know.
Agree.
I don't know. Because there are still areas that are heavily policed and heavily adjudicated.
Yeah.
So
you could say the rich do their drugs at home and they don't do, it's not out in the streets like in the city. It's usually more hidden too from the rich.
But I think that is not. I think that's still hyperbole. I think that most users aren't just on the street, because it's not how it's done.
Right.
So I think, again, it goes back to, what do these people have and look like, and where are they located?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of it is, we started talking softer when it came home. We started talking softer when it was my kid, my neighbor, my deacon, my pastor, and they look like me. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. That's, from a psychological stance, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think going back to the original premise of the game, right? If you're always looking down at people because of where they live, where they come from, you're always going to be in that position to want that your answer to a problem is always get rid of that.
Yeah, of course. It's simple. Yeah. It's a simple solution to a complex problem.
But that isn't the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the answer is something inside. It's always something inside, even inside of you, right?
Right.
So that's where you need to start asking the question is, one, why am I okay with that answer to eradicate? And this is across the board. As a human, you need to ask yourself, why is eradication always the go-to? Why is it never understanding? Why is it never trying to deal with things holistically?
Yeah,
and I think I feel like as a society, when you claim yourself as a society, it's based on how you treat your weakest members, right? How you treat your children, how you treat those who are lower on the scale in your society, how you treat the indigent, how you treat people with mental disabilities, how you treat the minorities of your society. That's how you determine how well of a society you are. But if your society is always pointing down and saying the people who have the most effect on destroying our society are the people who have the less power and the less ability to do so, why is your society so weak? That's an internal failing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of can see that. Like, it really is dependent on it really, like, we even do this today. Like, we have, it's a simplified good and bad guy, right? There's no gray area, it seems like, even in the media today. Like, it's just we're good and they're bad. We need to get rid of all the bad. But then who's making the determination who's bad and who's good? It depends on what side you're on. And it's very simplified. It's a very simplified, because it's more complex. It's very complex. People are complex.
Yeah, and that's why when you say it's a maturity thing, I disagree with you, because that is a very infantile way to look at life. It's black and white, right?
Yeah, and
And
when I say maturity, I'm saying like maturity in like how society sees these type of people as opposed to now.
I still don't agree with you. I still think that they look down on them, and even in their quote unquote wanting to look at the problem differently, like, oh, it's a sickness, they're still not providing ways to stop the direction of other people going that way, right?
Right. They're not trying to fix the problem.
Right. Because the treatment makes them more money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's a question. If they decided to reboot this game, would you play it?
They actually did reboot it. It was supposed to be rebooted in 2005, and it did not do as well as the original.
I think that kind of makes sense, because
it's a different time. It's 2005.
The countermeasure, the pendulum swings, back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And I think by 2005, we had basically been done with all this anti-drug stuff.
Yeah.
We've been scared enough to know. And like I said, at that point, I'm in my adult age, and no one has hassled me to do drugs, even though I thought they would, and I didn't get addicted to caffeine pills, which Saved by the Bell told me that could happen. So
I'm so excited.
So
yeah,
I think the pendulum just swung to this has no relevance anymore.
Yeah. And that's why I didn't really do as well, because it was nobody was really thinking like this in 2005, right? This is a totally different time. 2005, and to your point, this is like toward going to seeing these people as actually people and not like monsters and zombies and people that need to be eradicated, or things that need to be eradicated, right? So this is kind of towards that time, 2005. So I think that was the reason it didn't lack the same flair as the original, because the original, again, came out, the original came out in the 80s, late 80s.
Yeah.
During all this cocaine and crack stuff going on. And then the 90s is when we see it in Nintendo. And
by 2005,
that time was different time. It's different time.
The anti-drug push had stopped around that.
I think didn't it stop after Reagan left, or they're still doing it, but she's the one that started it. Nancy Reagan started it.
Nancy Reagan started it.
Yeah.
It went through to late 90s.
Late 90s.
Like I said, still looking about the movie. You gotta look at I look at movies as kind of like the metronome. And probably around 99 is when it stopped.
Yeah.
So
I noticed in movies it became more like this is what we do now. Like it's like the norm. Like the Matrix, right? He's the guy's giving him drugs. Like it's just a regular day.
Yeah.
Mescaline. Gives him mescaline. And you're like, and you see it in a lot of movies, like they're doing the drugs, but it's not like anti-drug stuff. It's more like this person has problems, or this is what they do. This is their character.
Yeah,
they do drugs. So, that's pretty interesting. How it changed from then to now, which is more like, okay. Because I don't even think they have DARE programs anymore. Because I remember back then we had DARE everything. You got DARE T-shirt, hat, everything. They had assemblies.
Yeah, I was going to say they had cops come to your school.
Yeah, cops come to your school. Yeah,
show you like the different effects of drugs on the body, stuff like that. You're watching like weird videos of girls jumping out of windows because they're on PCP, and you're just like, so. Yeah, I don't think the kids got that, and that's why the game kind of just I would say it lost relevance, right? Because drug culture now is now we're microdosing, at least up to modern. Now they're talking about microdosing psilocybin, which is mushrooms, right?
Yeah,
we're talking about the marijuana being something that people use frequently, daily. And no issues. Like cops aren't pulling them over. Cops aren't arresting them. There's still, heroin is illegal, but and meth is illegal.
Which it should be. They're pretty.
There are, there are drugs that are. Fentanyl is another drug on the rise now, which is, it's basically you can't even take I think. The smallest amount is like the head of a pin, but if you take any more of that, you're gonna die. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's still a problem. Drugs are still a problem. But I think we are talking about it in a more nuanced fashion.
Yeah.
And that's why I say when we're like, this isn't a moral failing. This drug strips the chemicals in your brain to be able to produce serotonin or dopamine, and you need to learn how to live with that. And then what led you to take this? Like I said, a lot of people are self-medicating. So there's a deeper issue of why are you trying to not deal with whatever is hurting you, right? And also recognizing that it's not just drugs that people use to self-medicate. Alcohol for a long time, was a problem to a point where in the United States they banned it, right? But it was so being used underground, they were like,
they brought it back.
Right?
Yeah.
Then it was, hey, you can't drink, unless you're the age of 21, right? Which is current.
Yeah.
So there are ways to make things legal, and ultimately, I guess I will say safer as a society, right? I'd rather you be able to have access to something than you building a lab in your basement. Or even when it because one of the other pushes with the anti-drug push was, and this was also combined with AIDS, the proliferation of AIDS in society.
Yeah.
Needles, sharing of needles, the use of needle injection for drugs, right?
Yeah.
So getting these people access to clean needles, getting people access to clinics and medical facilities where they can get tested for different diseases, things like that. So there is a holistic way to deal with these things, a more holistic way to deal with these issues, right?
Yeah.
And I think that should be the push of any society is how do we deal with this more holistic? Like what are the core problems, and if it's a mental, emotional issue, if it's a physical issue, in the case of opiates, are we making sure that we are doing the proper medical things that we need to do? Why are we just prescribing just blanket drugs to people? Why aren't they getting better? We need to be having these more better conversations with patients and doctors when it comes to illegal, illicit drugs on the street. A lot of these people, again, are taking this stuff because there's something else deeper that they're not dealing with in some cases. In other cases, it's like, hey, maybe it is, my friends got me hooked on this and now I want to get off of it. There's that cycle, right?
Yeah.
And so having the things in place like treatment centers and mescaline clinics where people can get different treatments to get off of the cycle of using drugs. It's just a more holistic take. And do we really need the over policing of certain areas? Like I said, a lot of times these people are non-violent offenders. So why are we sending them to jail forever?
Yeah, you bring up you bring up a good point too. Like, it's again, like I said before, it's a simple solution to a complex problem. Like, there's many reasons why people get on the drugs. There's tons of reasons. Like, some people have been abused their whole lives, and they can't handle, the abuse. Or you got military guys that come back from war. They get hooked on the drugs, and it's just so many reasons why people get into drugs in the first. It's not like I'm evil, I'm bad, and I'm getting the drugs. Like, no, there's lots of reasons why. And you kind of mentioned it with, you get peer pressure. Like, there's people that smoke cigarettes because they thought it was cool when they were kids, and now they can't get off of the cigarettes.
And what do we have? We don't send those people to prison.
No, we don't.
History of nicotine patches and pills and treatment centers. So, and the same with alcohol, right? We don't. Some of those people we send to prison because they're rowdy and or they cause accidents.
Oh, they cause problems. Yeah, cause problems. Yeah.
But for other people, we send them to one of the famous clinics, Betty Ford. We send them to a Betty Ford clinic or some kind of alcohol treatment clinic, where they can go and try to deal with what is the underlying reason that you're using alcohol to medicate something. What is it? And go through it that way. So I think we could do the same with drugs,
Yeah.
And we do. And so when you want to drive down the avenue with your Porsche with police across it and you have your rocket launcher and your automatic weapon, that's not helping the problem.
Right. Yeah. And again, it's interesting because it takes place in a dystopian society where that's their only solution. Their only solution is to take out the junkies like they're zombies. Just shoot them all, kill them all, and that will fix the problem. And that type of society, I don't know. I don't even know in that type of society that's the best solution. But
I would argue that again is playing on the fear of people, because the idea is that, and this is what I said with the gang culture, the gang movies and things like that, was at some point these gangs are going to take over civilization, and what are we going to do? What's going to happen to the moral upstanding people, right?
Yes.
And well, logically, we need to kill these people. Wait. You just can't be better at administrating the office of, I don't know, justice and the public works. That's not the solution. It's just, the gangs are going to take over and we need to kill them all before it happens. And that's, again, I think a fear that is used in propaganda to make you say, well, we need to give the police more guns. We need to allow them laxer laws. They shouldn't be able to be prosecuted, if they do certain things, because they're doing it in the name of justice. And we want justice, right?
Yeah. 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 Go ahead.
My political science class, the professor first day, he drew a line cross on the board, and he's like, it's always going to be order over liberty, right?
Yep.
And the idea is, do you want more? If you want more order, you're going to lose more liberty,
right?
And vice versa. If you want more liberty, you're going to lose more order.
Yep.
And so there's a balance we have to have.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, NARC. So this game kind of, with this game, it kind of like with drug addicts and junkies. right? Like you were saying about these nonviolent, especially like, just the people that are going to jail are, they haven't done anything wrong, right? I mean, they did drugs, right? They had drugs on them and whatnot. I've always said they should go into clinics. They should go into rehabilitation centers, right? They should be forced to go into those so they can get better. Not thrown into jail. Now, some people will say they're in jail. There you go. That's the rehabilitation. But I don't agree with that. I think jail is a bad place for nonviolent offenders. But I do agree, like if you do drugs and it causes you to do horrible things like that, like people that drink, right? If you smoke weed, for example, if you smoke weed and you drive a car and you kill somebody in that car, then you should go to jail for being negligent for operating a vehicle while under the influence of drugs. So, but if you're at your house and you're doing drugs and it's something really bad, right? That person should get mandated help. But I think throwing them in jail, this is around the 90s too. Like, it's ironic that this game came out when this was happening, when they were throwing people in jail for nonviolent offenses. Now this game is like over exaggerating that, but it just kind of speaks to, you're a junkie. Now they're shooting at you in the game, but you're just mowing them down. Boom, boom, boom. You're not like shooting them in the leg or you have like you say, you have a rocket launcher to just destroy all of them, a whole bunch of them at one time, because they're all junkies and they need to be eradicated or they need to be put away for a long time, right? Because we arrest them. So, but that's kind of where it is with NARC. That was just the time, we were where we're at during that time. It was just, we have this problem. This is a solution that we can put into place. Easy solution. Take them out. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just the way, the way it was at the time. I don't know if it was developers. I don't know if that's what they were going for when they made this game. I don't know if they were going that deep when it came to making this game, but it kind of communicates how it almost like makes fun of like solutions that people might have in their minds about how to solve a complex problem like this. It's almost like they have that same discussion that we're having, and they're like, let's make a game that kind of makes fun of this or like satires this, almost like The Simpsons making fun of everything in society. So let's make fun of how society is now in the 90s. Let's over exaggerate it. Let's make this game where you're just blowing up people, and let's add on top of that that they're in a Porsche because they're holier than thou, right? They're richer than the people in the city, and let's take them all out because we're richer and we're actually good. They're not. They're bad.
It's definitely over the top.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't know if that's what they wanted, but that's what it is. And like I said, like I told you, it's like a fever dream of an anti-drug, person. Like this is everything I ever wanted with anti-drug propaganda.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is just a dream. This is like something that you think of in your head, and you're like, that's how you fix it. You just get rid of all the drug people. That's all you got to do. It's like a child trying to fix a complex problem. Like, this is what you do. Just get rid of the drugs. That's simple. That's all you got to do. But that is NARC for the NES. And I would say, this is really good discussion about, where the time was at that time, like where we were at that time. And especially when it came to like drugs and anti-drugs. The anti-drug movement was really big back then. and this game it was almost like a poster child for how the people in the 90s thought when it came to like drugs in general. So you had that, and then the controversy with this game. And to me, I think the parents really had. I mean, I think the parents. I don't know. I think the parents didn't like that their kids were looking at this violent game. It was violent, right? That's all they saw was violence.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they said there's drug paraphernalia in the game. But anyway, I still like when it comes to this game, as far as like rating, I give the Nintendo one a 5 out of 10, mainly because it wasn't the arcade one.
Right.
The arcade one was just great. If I could rate the arcade one, I would give that a 7 out of 10.
Just rate it. We'll take all renditions of the game. So
yeah, they're the ones I played, the NES and the arcade. So I gave the NES a 5 out of 10. The arcade is 7 out of 10 because the Nintendo one was great. I thought they did a good job. It was a good try. But there were some control things, because this it's coming from the arcade to 2-button controller, right? The arcade had multiple controls or multiple buttons and joysticks and all that. So it kind of affected the control some of the controls, like the ducking mechanism when you're trying to shoot the dogs. That was kind of hard to do. And then it didn't seem like there was a lot more. It was a lot more ammo in the arcade one. It didn't seem like they gave you a lot of ammo in the NES one. But that's my thoughts on it. What about you? What's your thoughts?
I think I would agree with your ratings on both. The controller and the controlling in the NES version, having to hit 2 buttons to duck down, shoot, and then the loss of ammo was just, I felt like I couldn't. You're always in a lurch at looking for bullets, and you're just like, oh, I guess I gotta bust these people now. But I don't know, maybe that was part of it. They wanted you to do that.
Oh yeah, because it's NES and it's more. They censored it.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. This has been a very interesting discussion. I don't know if I'm actually kind of glad it went the way it did based off of the game.
Yeah.
But I also think it's good that a game kind of also has you thinking about society. So, and I don't know if this was the creator's goal, but it works.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. That's a good point. I don't even know if that's what their main intention was. Like I said earlier, like I don't know if that's what they were trying to do or accomplish with that. But if they weren't, it definitely mirrors what was going on around that time.
Yeah,
or what people were thinking of around that time.
Yep.
So. But that's NARC for the NES, and it was a really good discussion. I do agree. We had a really, NARC is a pretty simple game, but it's always good to kind of discuss what's going on around that time when this game came out, kind of put things into context. So this was really good. I appreciate it, Marz. Thank you for joining again, and. I really love these type of discussions and just trying to figure out what they were thinking when they made this game, and also the surrounding society when these games came out. So I appreciate it, my friend. And
it's a great conversation. I think the history around the game, gives you a deeper dive. So the story's simple, but the history behind it is complex.
Yes.
And it's a great discussion,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And for everybody who's listening, thank you for listening to our show. We have 13 episodes, which is great. And just subscribe, comment, and just give us any feedback you can. This has been a pretty fun time for us. We enjoy this. We're probably going to continue doing episodes, try to do as many episodes as possible.
Yeah.
Try to get us to that big 100th episode, which would be great. But I think we're doing really well with this, and I appreciate it, my friend. Any parting words you want to say before we leave?
Thanks to everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.
NARC for the NES is a loud, proud, and unapologetic piece of arcade history that turned console limitations into a fast-paced thrill ride. It bridges the gap between classic side-scrolling shooters and the extreme over-the-top action trends of the early 90s with an unmatched level of energy. Max Force's Crusade remains one of the most memorable and intense entries on the platform, and that final encounter with Mr. Big still delivers an absolute rush. It's frantic, it's difficult, and it's an incredible time capsule. I gave NARC for the NES a 5 out of 10, mainly because for a shooter, it's an okay game, and I think they did a good job porting it to the NES. But there were a few control snafus that made it a little frustrating to play. So thank you again for joining us on Cartridge Chronicles. Keep your controllers ready and your adventures endless. We'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, don't stop gaming.